Hey bitches, it's Elle and welcome back to my channel. This week we are going to be doing a glitter swirl with a crackle split. It'll make more sense when we start getting into it. This was a request in my mentorship group. You can find all that information down below in the description box, but I never did a crackle before. It was fun. Let's just say that. I took all the bloopers out of this video, but boy, oh boy. Whoa! But I think I got the hang of it now, and I enjoy making them, and I will be recreating this cup here soon. But real quick, before we get into it, thanks to all of you guys for liking, subscribing, and sharing. Every single thing that I use will be down below in the description box with a link and a discount code so you can save them coins at checkout. So y'all ready to get into it? I would show it to you, but it didn't last that long. It's already at its new home in Colorado. So let's get it. All right, bitches. So this is a little fast, but this is just a glitter swirl. Grab two of your favorite colors and swirl it around the tumbler. I am using Adhesive Apothecary's Cauldron color in the color Ghosted, which is white, for my first coat. You see me going to dry, then I'm going in with Adhesive Apothecary's thick glitter glue to apply my second coat. The glitter colors that I am using is Toodaloo and Bougie. Both of these are from Petey Creative Studio. I actually had some trolls attack me in this live, so it was a cluster, but I love how it came out. Bougie is one of my favorite white multi-size mixes from PDB, and I couldn't wait to get this baby sealed and epoxied. Most of my creations are done live, and usually, you know, I'm recording with another device, but when your live gets reported on TikTok, they will not let you download it. So that is why we have some time-lapsed videos in this tutorial. So anywho, let's get into sealing these glitters. For the swirl, I really don't need to seal this, but I want to because this sealer not only keeps your glitter from moving, but it flattens it as well, especially if you're using a chunkier, you know, form of glitter. I dump it all over the tumbler. You can use your finger or a brush to apply. I go with my darkest color, and then once my darkest color is completely covered, I go in and start sealing my lightest color. For this one, that really didn't matter, but when I use the binding potion, I am using less epoxy. And for what I'm wanting with this tumbler, it doesn't matter if the glitter mixed together or not. But we're going to speed this process up, and then it's on to first coats of epoxy. Here it is sealed. You can see I did a generous coat. I am going to let this dry overnight, and then we're going to get into first coats of epoxy. This is a 20-ounce tumbler with 2 coats of glitter, and usually I would have to put about 30 ml over to cover. But with the binding potion, I only have to mix up about 20 ml. I always do 2 coats regardless before getting into any type of design or adding vinyl or whatever I'm doing. So before, when I wasn't using the binding potion, I was mixing anywhere from 60 to 70 ml of epoxy for the 2 coats. Now I'm down to 40. So I am saving a massive amount of epoxy since switching to Adhesive Apothecary's binding potion. Once I complete this coat of epoxy, I let it spin out and dry, go directly in with a second coat, let that spin out and dry, and then we can get into the crackle design. We gonna speed it up. All right, bitches, now that my 2 coats of epoxy are done and I have a smooth surface, you don't want any lumps from your glitter. You want it as smooth as possible. I did do a light sand, and that's what I'm doing now, is just, you know, making sure I get all that dust off, getting my tumbler as clean as possible. So this is my first time doing the crackle method. I'm the type of person that likes to wing it, okay? I don't watch tutorials. If I do, I skip through them. I like winging it, doing things I have never done before. So this was a request in my mentorship group, and I did it 2 different ways. I used what's called Crackle Medium and Elmer's glue. I'm not showing both ways. I am showing the way that I liked, and I liked the Crackle Medium. I do not prefer the Elmer's glue, and you can find the Crackle Medium in my Amazon storefront. I will have that link below. I wanted to do a split crackle design, so you see me getting a piece of painter's tape. It doesn't matter what size painter's tape you use. This is before I got all my tools from KellBell Designs to get my straight lines, so we struggle in a minute. I'll have all that listed below too. But anywho, I just split it down the middle, didn't measure it, eyeballed it. Once we get this painter tape wrapped how we want it, then we're going to get to work. Now, I want to explain something. There are so many ways to do this. Everybody was telling me I wiped it off 3 different times because I did not like it. But I took all of that out of this video, and I am showing the success, the way that I found to do it, and it worked beautifully. It took me 3 times to get it right, and I'm not one to give up. But everybody does it differently. Find your own groove. This is how I like doing it, and this is how I will do it from here on out. So, let's get into the crackle. Alright, bitches, the Crackle Medium has directions on it, but I poured some in a little cup, and I started brushing it on the tumbler, even strokes, going down. You do not want it like bunching up in certain places. You do not want it too thick, but you want it even all the way around. It does say try not to overlap and only do 1 coat, but you got to get a feeling for it yourself. So that's what I did after. This is the 3rd time, so I said, fuck it, we're going to do it my way. Once you get your Crackle Medium the way that you like it, I used heat to speed up the drying process. It'll look like a clear film, and it will not look damp. I don't know how else to explain it. But I used my heat gun to speed up the drying process. And this is what worked for me. Once you get it dry, then you go in with your acrylic paint. Now, I tried black. I didn't like the black. I am going in with pop of color and a big fluffy brush. You want it pretty thick, and you want to go same motions all the way down. You don't want to paint it back and forth. Single strokes. It states do not go over it, but I did, because I didn't like where I had lines and you can see it. So this is how I did it, and it worked out pretty damn good on the 3rd try, in my opinion. Once it starts drying, it starts cracking. The Crackle Medium starts working once you apply the paint. But me, I used my heat gun to speed it up, and I think it came out great. Some said don't use heat, some said use it. I said I'm doing it. I'm doing it. And I love how it came out. 3rd time's the charm. 3rd time's the charm, bitches. Once this was done, I just set it to the side, let it dry overnight, and it cracked a little bit more. It did. It did some more cracking on its own, but I stuck it off to the side and did not mess with it until the next day. You can see it. Like, it did the job. It did the job. I don't have it in the video. I sped it up, but I peeled that painter's tape off after I got finished hitting it with the heat. And once this dried overnight, I went in the next day and I sealed it with Adhesive Apothecary's binding potion just in case. This is what it looks like after sealing over the crackle and removing the painter's tape. I think it came out super cute, and I did add 1 coat of epoxy before finishing it up. I had so many ideas for this thing, and I ended up changing it last minute. This UV DTF wrap can be found at swearykim.com. I will have that down below in the description box. I wanted to add this to the middle. That way the glitter's poking out. You can still see the crackle, and it worked out great. What's cool with these UV-DTF wraps is that you can put them on anything. They're permanent. But when I apply UV-DTFs to epoxy tumblers, I always add a coat of epoxy over it. You do not have to, but I do because I think it looks so much better with that shine. If your tumbler was complete after applying this wrap, you don't have to add epoxy. You can say it's done. But for me, I like adding 2 final coats. So I am going in with a piece of painter's tape, applying it to keep my decal in place. Once we get the painter's tape laid down, we're going to remove the backing and start applying the wrap to the tumbler. I'm going to speed this process up. I have several videos. I will drop them in the description box showing how to apply a UV-DTF wrap. And then it's on to sealing the wrap. Alright, bitches. Now that we have the UV-DTF wrap around the tumbler, it's time to seal that wrap before going into final coats. Some epoxies repel the UV-DTF wraps, so I just seal them all. This time I'm not using binding potion. I am going in with Adhesive Apothecary Celestial Luster in the color Astrum to not only seal this beautiful wrap, but to add a beautiful shimmer to it as well. With this being blue, if you were to use this on raw glitter, it would tint the glitter as well as give it a sparkle. But I wanted to add extra shimmer on top of this UV-DTF. So I am going in with just one of my Adhesive Apothecary Witch's brooms. I am dipping it in the Celestial Luster, and I am loading it all over the tumbler. This is just like binding potion, but with a shimmer. And I like that added shimmer. So I load it on. Once this is on and how you like it, it doesn't matter how much you add. Let it dry completely, just like if you were sealing, and then you can go into your final coats if you don't want to add anything else. Let's speed it up. And here I kind of slowed it down because you can see the shimmer on the boots, on the flowers, and even on the white crackle area. You can really see that beautiful gold shimmer. Once this dries, it's time to go into final coats. And here it is. After sealing it with the Celestial Luster, I let it spin for a few hours. And now we're going to go in with 2 final coats of DIY Epoxy Speedy Petey. And here I'm kind of showing the shimmer. You can see it really good on those boots. Oh, it was the perfect final touch for this split crackle type tumbler, you know? It just went with the vibe, in my opinion. And boy, it didn't last long. So like I said, I let this dry. Then I mixed up 20 ml of DIY Epoxy Speedy Petey. Ultra UV, forgot to say that. And we're going to let it spin out. It takes about 1 hour and 45 minutes for it to dry completely in my environment. Once the first coat is dry, I go directly in with the second coat, let it spin out, and then it's good to go. And here it is, bitches, all done. I really hope y'all enjoyed this tutorial. Please like, subscribe, and share, and you can find everything down below in the description box. As always, let's get it.